likes the back row.
All right, good evening. I would like to call to order this special meeting of the Sturgis City Common Council. The item on the agenda will be approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion from Angela. Is there a second? There's a second from Mike. All in favor of approval of the agenda, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All right, motion carries. If you'll please rise, remove cover, and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone here joining us this evening for this special meeting. My name is Becca Zerbst. As Council President, I will be presiding over tonight's meeting. The next item we have on our agenda is other matters that may come before the Council. This is where citizens of Sturgis may address the City Council. If you'll please come up to the table, state your name and your address, and you will be recognized for 3 minutes. For items for your discussion, they will only pertain to matters which are not on this evening's agenda. So I would like to open for discussion other matters. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on other matters? Is there anyone from council that has other matters? Okay, going once. All right, seeing none, we will move forward to agenda item number 5, reports. Item number 5.1 is acknowledgement of the mayor's resignation on February 13th, 2024. As you all know, Mayor Carstensen submitted his letter of resignation on Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. This is not an actionable item, but rather it is just for the record that we are acknowledging his letter of resignation. So moving forward to item 5.2, filling the vacancy in the office of the mayor per South Dakota Codified Law 9-8-2. We have an agenda report this evening, and that will be from our city attorney, Mr. Mark Marshall. Mark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I beg your pardon? She is acting mayor.
If you have questions, please wait until we have opened the floor. Thank you.
As confirmed by the South Dakota Secretary of State, SDCL 9-8-2 governs filling a vacancy in the office of the mayor. That statute says if there is a vacancy from any cause in the office of the mayor, the vacancy shall be filled by appointment by a majority vote of the aldermen as soon as is practicable after the vacancy occurs, to serve until the office is filled by election for the unexpired term at the next annual municipal election or by special election as provided by section 9-13-14.2. Until the vacancy is filled or during the time of temporary absence or disability of the mayor, the powers and duties of mayor are executed by the president or vice president of the council as provided in section 9-8-7. The next municipal election is the 2025 election because there is inadequate time to provide notice to get this issue on the April 9th, 2024 ballot. The city cannot hold a special election because the power to do that must be established by a resolution adopted prior to the time the vacancy arises. So because the mayor resigned yesterday, you do not have time to adopt a resolution that would allow you to hold a special election. 5 votes are needed to fill the vacancy, and there is no requirement that the appointee be a current member of the city council.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marshall, for that report. I will ask if there are any questions from council about Mark's report. Yes, Kevin, you have the floor.
Mark, can you define why, I mean, I know it's specified in the state law, but for the gallery and for the people watching on Facebook, can you define why there is not time to get this on the election for
Because
April 9th?
I'm sorry, yes. Because there are notice requirements and they have to be on the notice of vacancy. And that is information that was provided by the Secretary of State.
And what is the notice requirement?
It has to be in January.
January before the
Yes.
April election.
That I have already noticed. Adam and I have noticed the vacancy in January, and it goes in the paper twice.
Okay. In the process, I mean, you talk about 5 votes. What type of process are we looking at on this? Is this a nomination? Is this a motion? Is this, how does this action happen, and then how do we vote?
The process can happen by nomination. You may nominate among yourselves. You may call for nominations from the public if you choose to do so. And you can vote on people nominated through either process as members of the council, either by show of hands, by a division of the House, that is by standing, or by voice vote. If any one of you chooses to make a motion that the ballot be by paper ballot, you have the authority to do that. That motion needs a second, and if I have my notes. Would be take precedence over any main motion then pending. It is not debatable and not subject to amendment.
How does that work with 2 members on the phone if we were to do a paper ballot?
That would be difficult at best.
I would prefer roll call myself if we'd go that route, just because.
If I may suggest, I don't believe you're at that point yet.
To add to that, Mr. Marshall, what dictates the timeline for this? Is this a short-term need? Is this something that we have to address within a set amount of time?
The key phrase is as soon as is practicable. A difficult word for me to say. But that is a term that is subject to council interpretation. That is not a term of art or a word that carries a fixed definition. So, again, by way of example, you could do so tonight if you so choose. You could do so at a point in the future if you so choose. It becomes a question for your discretion about how long you believe the office should remain vacant and attended to by the current council president. Coming back another way. Yes, Counselor.
On the inadequate time to get this on the April 9th election, how much time would we have needed to be able to put it on this election?
The vacancy would have had to have occurred in January.
What is that process then that requires from January up into the first part of April?
The statutory notice, the requirement of published in the paper twice, and the availability to pick up petitions.
Which is the common practice, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Any
So-
other questions?
Yes, I'm
Angela.
sorry. Mr. Marshall, I believe in the past, I believe back in 2006, vacant mayoral position was filled, and that mayor did not finish their term, so applications were accepted for a period of time, and then the sitting council still appointed someone, but I don't know who the person was that they appointed, but whether it was from the applicants or from someone else on council. Now, is that an option, something where we take applications for this vacancy for maybe a 2-week period, and then appoint after that?
I believe the statute allows you discretion to do that by way of nominations from the sitting council, or to do it by way of seeking applicants for the vacancy. And the reason I say that it is in council's discretion is because there is no requirement that it be filled by an existing council member. So that impliedly suggests that you may entertain applications from the public. Whether you choose to do so is in your discretion as the council.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
In that instance where we would be taking applications from the city, from the residents, and or whether it's a nomination for us or from us, it would still only be, it would just be voted on by the sitting body.
That is correct, Councilor Sigmund.
And for the record, I would like to mention that Councilor Williams and Councilor Jordan are in the meeting via telephone. I'm sorry, Mark, did you have?
I
Were you gonna say
am only speaking when spoken to at this point.
All right. Any, Mike?
If I understood you, Mr. Marshall, we could appoint a mayor from not the setting body?
That is correct, Councilor Bashand. That person, if I'm violating my own rule, would still have to meet the statutory requirements to be a mayor, that is, be a resident of the city of Sturgis.
I believe this has happened before
Yes.
with our recent vacated seat. After Maury LaRue passed away, Mark was appointed as mayor. That was a big day for the city of Sturgis because the day after I stroked. That's the reason I remember it. But I find that interesting. Perhaps we should rethink this and
I know there are interested parties. I've received no less than probably 15 phone calls today on the matter of selecting a mayor. And I know there's people in the audience and people that are not here that are surely qualified to be the mayor. And it may relieve the tension that's on the council at this point in time, should do just that. And in a year and a half, we can have an election. I would like to leave that option on the table and invite nominees from the general population.
If I may speak.
Yes.
We are here tonight because staff felt the need to comply with the as soon as practicable requirement. That is not staff saying you must act tonight, but it is instead a recognition that you could act if you chose to do so. And again, whether you choose to do so is entirely up to your discretion.
But I want Mr. Marshall to remind the council of Robert's Rules of Order in that we have a sitting president and a sitting vice president who can act on our behalf until such time that we entertain nominations from the general population. We're not going to miss on. There is no urgency to vote for a president of the council or as a mayor at this point in time.
That is correct. The statute allows the council president, or in the council's president's absence, the vice president, to fulfill the duties of the office of mayor until an appointment is made.
Do we need to go to a recess in private chambers and discuss this? Or just,
Is it something we can? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know that, do we need an executive session? I think the fact that we didn't put that on the agenda would not allow us to
I think
move
it
into
would.
exec.
These are troubling times, and I think we can pretty much do what we'd like to do this evening.
Sure.
We're adults, I think we can handle it.
Excuse me, we're following. If you'd like to be recognized, please come up to the microphone. But we're not quite to that point, but I appreciate your comment. Well, I think, we're having some good comments. I think that, what I'm hoping for is just that we have stability and continuity moving forward. And it's always about what is the best interest of our town. That for me has always been the bottom line of it. So I think that as we continue to have a dialogue that is positive and moving forward, I would like to open this up for public comment. Here, again, as we had, as I've said in our previous agenda item, you are welcome to come forward. What I am asking you to do is state your name, and if you're your address, and if you're a resident of Sturgis or wherever you're coming from. In the interest of time, there will be 3 minutes that you will be allowed to speak. So, if there would be someone coming forward, I see Francie. Thank you, Francie.
Francie Rubel Alberts, 1434 Sherman, right across from the courthouse. Most of what you've said I agree with. I thank you, Angela, on your comments on the fact in the past we've had people have left, we've asked for nominations from the residents of the Sturgis, and then the city council makes that decision. I highly recommend that's how you handle this. I appreciate the fact that your city attorney pointed out that practicable is your decision as to when this is made, and I don't think we have to rush into it. I think we need to take comments from the residents of this community. And I thought we could have a special election. That's not possible, so I think the best way to handle it is to ask for people to put their names in, and you interview them, and then maybe they speak before the public in a city council meeting. But the bottom line is you determine who it is until that May meeting in 2025 when they change offices. But the other thing I ask of you is that you start talking to the residents of this community. That means, I think, Mike, you used to have meetings out at McDonald's where residents could come talk to you.
Burger King,
Burger King, okay.
and it still happens.
Okay. I really think you need to talk to the people who are here and find out what their concerns are, find out what they're interested in, and if somebody's running, take your time to talk to them. Because it seems lots of times we feel we don't remember that you represent us. You're not representing yourselves. You are here, and so you need to talk to us. And sometimes we're shy, and we don't want to talk to you easily. I'm not, but some of the rest of the people are. So please go out and talk to people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Francie. Is there anyone else who would like to step forward and share some comments? No? Okay, so bringing it back to an actionable item. As Mr. Marshall has said, it's the discretion of the council as far as what path we want to move forward on. Is there any further discussions or ideas on what you all would like to see go forward?
With all the discussion that's been had and the information that we have, if this is an actionable item then this evening, I would make a motion that we open this up and take applications from the public. And if there's anyone sitting on council currently that is interested in the position, that they just put their name in. But anyone not currently sitting on council, if they would put it in an application,
And we
maybe
can have Miss Francie Rubel do the thing that she did so well the last time we had multiple candidates for election.
Well, so the motion would be to open this up to the public for applications, maybe for a 2-week period. And at the first, what would that put us, at the first meeting in March?
Yeah.
Then we could maybe conduct interviews and maybe right here in the public meeting, so that other people can actually see then who is interested in being the mayor and get to know that person. And from that point, we can select from there. So my motion would be to open it up to the public for 2 weeks, take those applications. Anyone currently on council, just put their name in, and we do interviews at the first meeting in March.
Okay. And, okay, is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
But
So-
we need to define some criteria through the legal branch and put it out to the public.
Okay, I actually have some stuff for
Do
you,
you?
Mike, yes.
Okay, great. Thank
All
you.
right, so we have a first by Angela and a second by Mike to open this up for public application. So first of all, let me touch on what we have as a city if this motion is to pass. In the past, you all have known that there has been vacancies that have occurred, and we have a form here. It's called the Sturgis City Council Appointment Application. So if this goes forward, this will be on the website that interested parties can pull up and fill out. And I think what we have done in the past is you have your application, and then we have also asked for a cover letter and a resume to go alongside this form. So if that's something that council would like to have, would be those pieces of information also included. I think that's something that we can move forward. And just a comment too, I don't want to throw a wrench into things, but my thought is that, you know, given that we have had in the news the item at the forefront of the city manager question here in our town. Again, I don't want to throw a wrench in, but do we need to maybe look at if the city manager question is going to be on the April ballot? Would you want to maybe even have this mayor selection be after that? Because as we look at the timeline and we draw this out a little further, you know, you have someone apply and we appoint them, but what if our, you know, the city government, the form of government is defined a month or two after they are appointed? I mean, I want to make sure that we are right now at this juncture considering all of the possibilities that we may be encountering here in the near future. That's all I'm trying to do. I am not trying to, you know, make this more complicated, but I think it's important that we as a council are forward looking.
And I think that's something that can be discussed in the process as well with the person.
Okay.
I don't know that you're going to put your name in the hat and not know kind of what's happening within the city.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, that's something that we can make clear in the process also.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dean. Any other comments or questions?
This is Aaron.
Okay.
You know, with those people that do put their name in the hat to be this temporary mayor until May of 2025, you know, maybe just make them aware that currently, you know, we have a city manager form of government, and after that election, we may remain a city manager form of government, or we may go back to a strong mayor with a city administrator potentially.
Okay.
Just so their eyes are open as they go into that endeavor.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Aaron.
If I may.
Yes.
Angela, just kind of wondering your thought process on this. And I know there's a great call for transparency and openness throughout city dealings and processes. I'm unfamiliar with any group interview processes or public interview processes. I just kind of wonder I know that the mayor is a very public position and they need to be able to speak in front of the public and so on and so forth. I'm just a little hesitant on conducting those interviews in a public session, more for the candidate than anything, and taking place in those interviews as far as.
Well, yeah, I just think in the past it's been done, and I know the most recent seat that was vacated before the term was up was in Ward 4, I think when Kevin got on, and so they interviewed right here in a public meeting for that seat for Ward 4, so.
Yeah, you're right. In that aspect, you're right. I was thinking more of a job application, but I guess essentially that's what this is. So,
yeah, I think
thanks
it's a
for that.
little different than like city manager. So
Yeah,
it's
I get it.
more of a,
Would someone from the council have to apply also, just like the other candidates?
with my motion, I would think that anyone on council would just say that they're interested, just put their name in. But anyone from the public would actually fill out an application and send in their resume. That's what my motion was.
Any other further comments or questions, council? Okay, so we're kind of listening to Dean and hearing that moving forward, as far as any mayoral candidates for appointment, that it would come in with they would come in with the understanding that the form of government could be changed. Is everybody good with that? That's something that we make known?
And I think too, though, where it's just till 2025, what's that, a 14-month period we're looking at? I mean, so even if the form of government changed, by time it changed, you know, I don't know that that would be that much time affecting
Sure.
the position.
Okay. Okay. Mike?
I call the vote.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further questions or comments. No, I opened it up when Francie came up to speak. I asked if there were other people that wanted to. Come on up, Bunny, if you'd like to, please.
We'd sure like
No,
to hear
yeah,
from
I mean,
you.
if anyone, please. I'm sorry if there was some kind of misunderstanding, but it is open for public discussion.
But that was before the motion.
Sure.
I just would like to say, I think that 2 weeks is way too short a period for the kind of disclosure that needs to happen. That's hardly time enough for the word to get around. I think you may be getting in a hurry. I understand the pressure, but I think you may be getting in a hurry. And I'm with Dean. I would take exception to initial interviews being a public event. I think that that would be detrimental to the selection process. I can certainly see going public when you reduce the candidates and want to have more exposure and more public input, but I think to do that up front is a really poor practice. And so, but I do think 2 weeks on this is moving too fast. I think you should give some consideration to that. I think, Becca, you're right in that we've got some time and we have a lot of things on the table. And not everyone who might be a good candidate is necessarily up to speed with what's been going on. And I think there needs to be enough time for people to consider and educate themselves and make a decision whether they're fit for or up to the challenge that they face.
Okay. Thank you, Bonnie. Are there any other attendees that would like to comment on the motion on the table?
Yes,
All
I would just like to kind of reiterate the question that I had, and to Bonnie's point, that I didn't take into consideration that this was an elected official position, not necessarily a job function. So that was kind of the discrepancy that I had when I was thinking about the process. So.
You know, I believe that there's some inherent risks with having an election so close to, you know, April 9th is only 6 weeks away.
Right.
And if the process takes,
4 weeks.
you know, we've kind of set things up so we probably should wait until the next council. I mean, honestly, it would be best if the people had an option to voice on this, because it is important. We are facing an election that will potentially change how the city operates. And, you know, 14 months doesn't seem very long, but 14 months is going to be pretty important. Is there no option that would provide for a city election on this?
May I, Counselor? I do not believe there is that option available, and that was the opinion of the Secretary of State when presented with the question.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. It is to open up for public application the vacancy of the mayor's seat with 2 weeks for application time, and the council deciding on the first meeting in March, which is March 4th. Okay, I'm going to call the question. I'm going to roll call this. So we will go to the phone. Preston?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
I'm yes. Dean?
Yes.
Okay. So the vote stands at 8-0. It is unanimous. Faye, if you'll please note that for the record. All right. So that leads us to our next agenda item, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn? First by Dean,
Second.
second by Tony. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. We are adjourned. I have 6:36.
Do we have any executive business to